at once? Perfect. Quickly is the correct choice. To think. Valid point. Wonder is true. Move fast. Bravo, scamper is the answer. Alice saw. On track. Rabbit is the correct answer. To walk fast. Well reasoned. Hurry is the correct choice. Who was Bill? Correct response. The lizard is the most accurate answer. She saw a dash. Nice selection. White rabbit is the correct and valid answer. Alice was dash. Excellent choice. In the Wonderland is the right answer. Who was Pingala? Nice work. You chose a poor farmer's son and it is correct. Story means dash. Smart pick. Story is the correct choice. To be inquisitive. Well done. Curious is the right choice. How old is Alice? Right again. 19 is a valid answer. To be seen nowhere. Good thinking. Disappeared is the right answer. 1 inch is equal to. Great job. About 2.5 cms is the accurate answer. At English we dash. Well picked. Learn poems is the correct answer. Who had pink eyes? You got it? Your choice, rabbit, is right. Mrs. Angela is dash. Good job. Your answer, a famous teacher, works well here. It was a dash a day. Correct. Sunny is the right answer. Alice defended who? Right choice. The Jack of Hearts is the best answer. What did Alice see? You chose a rabbit scamper by, and it is correct. Alice's tears former. Clear logic. Your choice, a pool is sound and 100% true. Meaning of popti is excellent. Short, sudden sound is a brilliant choice. Meaning of hurried is solid response. Done quickly is a valid choice. Who did Alice follow? Strong choice. Rabbit is the right answer. Meaning of scamper is sharp thinking. Run quickly is the right choice. Alice saw a small dash. Smart move. Door is an accurate answer. Antonym of different. You're right. Similar is the correct answer. Alice landed on a dash. Exactly. Pile of dry leaves makes sense and it is right choice. Who scampered by Alice? Nicely done. A rabbit is a solid answer. Who fell down and down? Great thinking. Alice is the right choice. Where did the rabbit go? Great thinking. Hole is the right choice. Alice ran after the dash. Smart pick. Rabbit is the correct choice. Alice saw a dash scamper. Sharp thinking. White rabbit is the right choice. Who sat on the mushroom? You got it. Your choice, a strange caterpillar, is right. The book didn't have dash. Great job. Pictures is the accurate answer. The rabbit had dash eyes. Nicely done. Pink is a solid answer. Alice saw dash fountains. You're right. Cool is the correct answer.
Meaning of disappeared is.
Good job. Your answer impossible to see works well here. Alice dash from a bottle. Right again. Drinks is a valid answer. Opposite of appear X dash. Valid point. Disappear is true.
Who is the smallest human?
Solid response. The King of Hearts is a valid choice. Describe the Duchess dash. Well done. Vile and violent is the right choice. Alice's cat's name is Dash. Good thinking. Dinah is the right answer.
What game does Alice play?
Right choice. Croquet is the best answer. Who was reading the story? Excellent choice. Alice's sister is the right answer. The boy in the poem is Dash. Bravo. Curious is the answer. What is Alice's cat's name? Exactly. Dina makes sense and it is right choice. Who is the Queen of Hearts? Excellent. The matriarch of Wonderland is a brilliant choice. Alice wished she could dash. Nice work. You chose become smaller, and it is correct. After all, it was all a dash. Well reasoned. Dream is the correct choice. Who was Alice sitting with? Clear logic. Your choice, her sister, is sound and 100% true. What did the cat tell Alice? Nice selection. Everyone here is mad is the correct and valid answer. What did the baby turn into? Strong choice. A pig is the right answer. What did the rabbit have on? Correct. Both of these is the right answer. Who was the invitation from? Perfect. The Queen is the correct choice. Choose the correct spelling. Correct response. Reason is the most accurate answer. The garden Alice saw was Dash. Well picked. Lovely is the correct answer. Alice met a Dash that smiled. Smart move. Cat is an accurate answer. An adventure story means Dash. On track. Adventure story is the correct answer. What does the cat keep doing? You chose appearing and vanishing, and it is correct. The rabbit jumped into a dash. Excellent choice. Rabbit hole is the right answer. What is the name of the bird? Smart pick. Dodo is the correct choice. What color was Alice's dress? You're right. White and blue is the correct answer. Whose trial did Alice attend? Great job. The Knave of Hearts is the accurate answer. In English will be Dash. Great thinking. Fairy tale is the right choice. Where was Alice lying one day? Nice selection. Under a tree is the correct and valid answer. What is the name of chapter 6? Nicely done. Pig and pepper is a solid answer. What is the Queen's full name? Valid point. Queen of Hearts is true. Who did Alice decide to visit? Well reasoned. The March Hare is the correct choice. What type of a girl was Alice? Right again. Curious is a valid answer. What is the lobster quadrille? Strong choice. A dance is the right answer. What is the boy always asking? Well picked. Why is the correct answer. The rabbit was wearing a coat. Bravo. Blue is the answer. Who was burning with curiosity? Perfect. Alice is the correct choice. The order of Wonderland is dash. You chose chaos, and it is correct. Alice found a room full of dash. Solid response. Doors is a valid choice. What is a synonym for ooglify? Nice work. You chose beautiful, and it is correct. After eating a cake, Alice grows. Exactly. 9 feet tall makes sense, and it is right choice. Alice followed Dash down a hole. Smart move. The white rabbit is an accurate answer. Where was the golden key placed? Well done. On glass table is the right choice. What is the name of Alice's cat? On track. Dinah is the correct answer. Dash poured tea on the dormouse. Right choice. The Mad Hatter is the best answer.
Who did Alice play croquet with?
Clear logic. Your choice, the Queen of Hearts, is sound and 100% true. How did Alice reach Wonderland? Correct. By following White Rabbit is the right answer.
Who said these words? Where am I?
Excellent. Alice is a brilliant choice. What color dress does Alice wear? Good thinking. Blue and white is the right answer. What did Alice see in that garden? Sharp thinking. All the options is the right choice. The king set up the challenge for. Correct response. Children is the most accurate answer. The white rabbit was holding a dash. Good job. Your answer watch works well here. Alice left Wonderland when she dashed. You got it. Your choice woke up is right. How many royal children were there? On track. 10 is the correct answer. Pingala won because he was powerful. Good thinking. False is the right answer. Alice's adventures were all a dream. Correct response. True is the most accurate answer. Alice saw a white rabbit with a dash. Well picked. Watch is the correct answer. What did the caterpillar ask Alice? Nicely done. Who are you? Is a solid answer. What was different about the rabbit? You got it. Your choice, all of the above is right. What is the white rabbit sentence? Nice selection. I'm late is the correct and valid answer.
There was a dash on the glass table.
Great thinking. Golden key is the right choice. What kind of animal was in the field? Exactly. A strange goose makes sense. and it is right choice. After Alice drank the potion, she dash. Excellent. Got smaller is a brilliant choice. What type of party does Alice attend? Smart move. A tea party is an accurate answer. Who asks Alice who she is? Clear logic. Your choice caterpillar is sound and 100% true. Alice in Wonderland is written by Dash. You chose Lewis Carroll, and it is correct. What food drink made Alice grow small? Nice work. You chose the bottle, and it is correct. True or false? Alice chased the rabbit. You're right. True is the correct answer. The rabbit had a dash in his waistcoat. Right again. What is a valid answer? Inside the small door, there was a dash. Bravo! Beautiful garden is the answer. What is the name of the main character? Solid response. Alice is a valid choice. Who runs past Alice claiming to be late? Sharp thinking. The white rabbit is the right choice. What color are the white rabbit's eyes? Well reasoned. Pink is the correct choice. What color did the queen want the roses? Well done. Red is the right choice. How was Alice transported to Wonderland? Good job. Your answer, through a rabbit hole, works well here. What is an antonym for the word vanish? Excellent choice. Appear is the right answer. The boy wants to know what makes the dash. Correct. Clouds is the right answer. The dog that Alice sees in Wonderland is. Right choice. Enormous is the best answer. Alice and her sister went for a walk. Dash. Smart pick. In the forest is the correct choice. What part of speech is the word coward? Great job. Noun is the accurate answer. The boy wants to know why the flowers dash. Strong choice. Die is the right answer. When Alice opened the door, she saw a dash. Perfect. Lovely garden is the correct choice. What was written on the bottle Alice found? Valid point. Drink me is true. What is the game Alice play with the queen? Perfect. Croquet is the correct choice. What was the season when started the story? Well picked. Hot summer is the correct answer. The water pushed Alice through the keyhole. Correct response. True is the most accurate answer. What word would describe Alice? Nicely done. Curious is a solid answer. Who does Alice follow throughout the story? Excellent choice. The white rabbit is the right answer. The white rabbit's clock is how far behind? Valid point. 2 days is true. The Queen of Hearts played a game with Dash. Nice work. You chose flamingos, and it is correct. What was so special about the Cheshire Cat? Good thinking. It could grin is the right answer. Alice and her sister were Dash under a tree. Great job. Sitting is the accurate answer. The March Hare and the Mad Hatter are crazy. Clear logic. Your choice true is sound and 100% true. Which character shouts, "Off with her head"? Sharp thinking. The Queen of Hearts is the right choice. Which character has trouble with punctuality? Strong choice. White Rabbit is the right answer. What is the name of the lizard with a ladder? Smart pick. Bill is the correct choice. Alice saw beds of dash, flowers in the garden. You chose bright, and it is correct. The background of Alice in Wonderland is dash. You're right. The Victorian era is the correct answer. How high was Alice after she drank the potion? Exactly. 10 inches makes sense, and it is right choice. Alice saw a dash table with a golden key on it. Right choice. Glass is the best answer. What animal does the Duchess's baby turn into? Smart move. Pig is an accurate answer. What game does the Queen invite Alice to play? You got it. Your choice croquet is right. Who said these words? Oh, my ears and whiskers! Nice selection. The rabbit is the correct and valid answer. What was the color of the coat the rabbit wore? Solid response. Blue is a valid choice. What is the reason Alice can't go to the garden? Excellent. She is too big is a brilliant choice. Identify the correct term, a gloomy state of mind. Right again. Melancholy is a valid answer. How does Alice feel about books with no pictures? Bravo. Bored is the answer. Long hair on the face of animals is known as dash. Great thinking. Whisker is the right choice. While listening to the story, what did Alice see? Well reasoned. A rabbit is the correct choice. Which character did Alice follow into Wonderland? Good job. Your answer, the White Rabbit, works well here. What sort of a boy is described in the poem? Why? Well done. Curious is the right choice. Who said these words? Oh dear, I will be too late. On track. The rabbit is the correct answer. Who was the real-life Alice of Alice in Wonderland? Correct. Alice Liddell is the right answer. Which family member does Alice talk to at the end? Right choice. Her sister is the best answer. After reading this story, you know that the king was... Solid response. Clever but generous is a valid choice. What is so strange about the Duchess's Cheshire Cat? You got it. Your choice, it's grinning, is right. The king had given the children tasty fruits to eat. Strong choice. False is the right answer. In the beginning of the story, Alice was in the dash. Well picked. Garden is the correct answer. Who is the author of the book Alice in Wonderland? You chose Lewis Carroll, and it is correct. The salt water that Alice was in Chapter 2 was her. Excellent. Tears is a brilliant choice. Where does the Mad Hatter hide Alice during the party? Bravo. In a teapot is the answer. Identify the correct term. Relating to a specific thing. Great thinking. Particular is the right choice. What did the rabbit take out from his waistcoat pocket? Well reasoned. A watch is the correct choice. At the tea party are the Mad Hatter, the March Hare, and... Valid point. The dormouse is true.
Who said these words? How I wish I could become smaller.
Sharp thinking. Alice is the right choice. What did the players use as mullets in the croquet game? Well done. Flamingos is the right choice. After 3 months, Pingala went to the king with a dash. Smart pick. An empty pot is the correct choice. What animal did Alice meet in her pool of tears at first? Smart move. Mouse is an accurate answer. What is the main theme explored in Alice in Wonderland? Correct response. Adventure and curiosity is the most accurate answer. Identify the correct term. Someone who makes or sells hats. You're right. Hatter is the correct answer. The Cheshire Cat told Alice everyone in Wonderland is dash. Good job. Your answer, Mad, works well here. What happens when Alice eats the cake that says, me? Excellent choice. She becomes enormous is the right answer. What dance did the Griffon and the Mock Turtle teach Alice? Nicely done. The Lobster Quadrille is a solid answer. Choose the correct preposition. Alice was lying dash a tree. Right again. Under is a valid answer. Who said, "Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting." Nice selection. The rabbit is the correct and valid answer. Who said, "I think I will reach the other side of the earth"? Clear logic. Your choice, Alice, is sound and 100% true. The rabbit was happy because Alice was too small for his house. Perfect. False is the correct choice. Alice has been important for the fashion and makeup industries. Nice work. You chose true, and it is correct. What animal looks like a rabbit, but is much larger or more hairy? Good thinking. Hare is the right answer. The white rabbit pelts Alice with small pebbles that turn into dash. Great job. Cakes is the accurate answer. Which character can be described as comical, mysterious, and cunning? Correct. Cheshire Cat is the right answer. Who said these words? Will I slip through the earth to the other side? Exactly. Alice makes sense and it is right choice. Alice is the only name of the little dots that he uses in his books. On track. False is the correct answer. True or false, Alice gets a thimble as prize for the race. Sharp thinking. True is the right choice. Write the meaning of the words. To be inquisitive or eager to know something. Smart move. Curious is an accurate answer. Catherine Beaumont said that being Alice was one of the highlights of her life. Nicely done. True is a solid answer. Some readers did not like the book because they found it strange and confusing. Right again. True is a valid answer. What did Alice find on the table in the hall after she fell down the rabbit hole? On track. A key is the correct answer. Charles Dodgson was pleased that so many children and adults enjoyed his stories. Smart pick. True is the correct choice. Which character in Alice in Wonderland is known for constantly checking the time? Well done. The White Rabbit is the right choice. Which character in Alice in Wonderland is known for saying, "We're all mad here"? Excellent. The Cheshire Cat is a brilliant choice. When the Queen yells, "Off with his head," what vocabulary word is she referring to? You got it. Your choice behead is right. Which literary device is predominantly used in Alice in Wonderland to create humor? Good job. Your answer, irony, works well here. Walt Disney's Alice in Wonderland made a lot of money when it was first released in 1951. You're right. False is the correct answer. When a person steals or takes something without permission, they are known as committing. Nice selection. Usurpation is the correct and valid answer. The girls were disappointed with Charles's story and never asked him to tell a tale again. Correct. False is the right answer. Which character in Alice in Wonderland is known for disappearing and reappearing at will? Great thinking. The Cheshire Cat is the right choice. Because the Mad Hatter had a falling out with time. It's always what time at the tea party? Perfect. 6 o'clock is the correct choice. After reading this story, you know that the king wanted to test all the children's dash. Valid point. Honesty is true. Alice followed the White Rabbit down a hole and she fell down it, and all around her was dash. Bravo. Doors is the answer. Who said, "Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast"? Correct response. The Queen of Hearts is the most accurate answer. To get dry, the dodo tells them that they can get dry if they race. What type of race was it? Right choice. Caucus race is the best answer. The author of Alice in Wonderland used a pen name. What was his real name? Good thinking. Charles Dodgson is the right answer. George MacDonald's 6-year-old son loved the story, and MacDonald encouraged Charles to publish his book. Well picked. True is the correct answer. Walt Disney created Mickey Mouse and opened amusement parks, but it was Alice who helped start his career. Well reasoned. True is the correct choice. The It's a Small World ride was so popular that it became a featured attraction at Disney's amusement parks. Great job. True is the accurate answer. Identify the correct term. A man employed as a servant in a large establishment to run errands and do chores. Excellent choice. Footman is the right answer. In 1893, an American publisher released a copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland without Charles's permission. Clear logic. Your choice true is sound and 100% true. As Alice is falling, she wonders if she might be falling through the earth. Where does she think she might end up? Strong choice. Australia is the right answer. Tourists in England can take a river ride on the same route that Alice Liddell and Charles Dodson took back in 1862. Nice work. You chose true, and it is correct. Walt Disney Studios decided to take parts of both of Lewis Carroll's books to tell Alice's story in their animated film. Exactly. True makes sense, and it is right choice. She is wearing a blue dash. Solid response. Dress is a valid choice.
Which one is this character?
You chose Alice, and it is correct. The Liddell girls begged Charles to tell them a story on their river trip, and that is how the story of Alice in Wonderland began. Perfect. True is the correct choice. Charles sent Alice Liddell her own copy of the published book on July 4, 1865, exactly 3 years after their picnic on the river. Strong choice. True is the right answer. Choose the opposite meaning of the word. Exactly. Wet makes sense, and it is right choice. The White Rabbit's fan made Alice smaller. Great job. False is the accurate answer. Who wrote Alice's Adventures in Wonderland? Correct. Lewis Carroll is the right answer. What color are the eyes of the Cheshire Cat? Right again. Blue is a valid answer. What was the fraction on the Mad Hatter's hat? Great thinking. 10/6 is the right choice. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was such a success that Charles did not want to take the risk of writing a second book, and it being a flop. You chose false, and it is correct. Who told Alice to wake up at the end of the story? Excellent. Her sister is a brilliant choice. In the picture, which of them is not in the story? Excellent choice. 6 is the right answer. Alice in Wonderland is a classic example of a look. She not only learns more about herself and the world, but her physical shape keeps changing. Correct response. A. Dynamic character is the most accurate answer.
What game does the Queen of Hearts love to play and takes place a few times during this book? Hint. The player hits a ball through multiple hoops.
Smart pick. Croquet is the correct choice. What time does the White Rabbit's clock always say? Sharp thinking. 12:25 is the right choice. In Chapter 7, time is personified and behaves in an unpredictable manner. Time punishes the Mad Hatter and the March Hare by trapping them at Dash. Nice selection. 6 o'clock is the correct and valid answer. What was the season that Alice was in the story? Bravo. Summer is the answer. What are the Mad Hatter and the March Hare celebrating? Good thinking. Their unbirthday is the right answer. Who lives in a little house at the forest of tall trees? Nicely done. The White Rabbit is a solid answer. Could Alice answer the riddle that the Mad Hatter asked? Right choice. No, she couldn't is the best answer. How much of his body could the Cheshire Cat make disappear? Well picked. All of his body is the correct answer.
Hook, what was Alice chasing when she fell down the rabbit hole?
Well done. The white rabbit is the right choice. The white rabbit is dressed like an English gentleman, and he rushes into a hole under the bushes, and Alice crawls in after him because she is a curious girl. Nice work. You chose true, and it is correct. Charles and John argued because Charles tried to tell John how to do the illustrations and where to place them in the story, and John did not like to be told what to do. Solid response. True is a valid choice.
Alice was not like the characters in most children's books because she asked a lot of questions, spoke up when she felt she should, did not follow rules, and got into trouble.
Smart move. True is an accurate answer. As Alice is falling, she wonders if she might be falling through the earth. Where does she think she might end up? Valid point. Australia is true. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format? Well reasoned. Contact Narayan Changdar on Facebook is the correct choice.